Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lesson 10. This week we get to learn a lot of new and exciting things, but perhaps my favorite is the persuasive writing that we now get to approach. So, I want to go over some of this with you and share some techniques that will help you to make sure that you're making your writing as persuasive as possible. Let's go ahead and dive in together. What is persuasive writing? Well, persuasive writing involves sharing a message with the purpose of convincing an audience that your stance, your position, or your thoughts are the most correct. Think of it kind of like a written form of an oral debate, because in many ways that's what it is. You're taking a stance and you're defending that against other sources, people, anything that would stand to discredit your claim, you want to argue against so that you can persuade your audience. Now, you may think that you understand the goal, but how can you make your writing more persuasive? There are a few techniques that are used widely across many platforms, whether that's magazines, websites, essay writing. All of these techniques are persuasive by nature, and I want to share some of them with you to make sure that you are as prepared as possible for this next writing assignment. So, here are some of the techniques. These are just 8 top techniques that you can use to really make sure you're getting your point across in the most persuasive way. So let's breeze through a few of these together. I will go ahead and attach this slide at the end of the announcement as well so that you can pull this up and review it and use it on your own as well while you're writing. But basically we have an appeal to authority. This is where you want to use a source that is important or well known, like you could say President Monson once shared, and then give a quote. An appeal to reason, this is usually where you're going to use your facts, your numbers, your statistics. You want to show logically that your position is correct. An appeal to emotion is exactly what it sounds like. This is where you want to make your audience feel a certain way so that they'll agree with you. Think of it like, by donating just $1, you can help feed a child in need. Or the commercials that you see sometimes on the TV where they want you to go adopt shelter animals rather than purchase new puppies. They want you to really feel for these animals, and that's kind of what you want to do in your writing. Now, an appeal to trust, this is where you can kind of show your audience that you are a trustworthy source. You want to say, I know from personal experience how important it is to, and then whatever your subject is. Another way is to be a chameleon. You always want to use language that will be most easily accepted and understood by your audience. You'll speak much differently if you're writing a paper to share in a youth conference talk than you would if you're addressing your elderly grandmother. You might use words like cordially for the elderly, something like that. Now, bandwagon. This is another technique, and you have to be a little bit careful with this because you don't want to make it seem like there's no real thought behind what you're sharing. But this is the kind of approach that you see when they say 4 out of 5 doctors recommend. This you can kind of show a majority rules. Most people prefer this, most people do this or think this. You can encourage your audience to agree with you in that way. Next is a rhetorical question. This is a question that you ask not to get an answer, but to kind of make a point. You could say something like, who wouldn't want to have more money in retirement? Obviously, that's just a way to state the obvious, not a real question that you want your audience to answer. And then finally, repetition. This is where you could create a pattern or a familiarity with your audience. You want to repeat information or present information in a repeated pattern to really help the message stick. These are sometimes the phrases that you see with a lot of repetition in the beginning of it. So, for instance, money cannot buy happiness. Popularity cannot bring happiness. Only righteousness can bring true happiness. And as you build kind of that pattern for yourself, your audience will come to recognize it, and it's almost like a hammer. It just drills the thought again and again and again until you get to that really important part, the claim, the point that you want to really drive in. So hopefully these are making sense to you. As I said, I'll go ahead and attach this to the announcement as well so that you can review it and have a little bit more time and we're not just rushing through it. Hopefully that will be helpful to you. And then real quickly, I just want to share with you a spiritual thought. So this is a quote by Sherry Dew. She said, personal revelation is a powerful, persuasive antidote to uncertainty and confusion. Now, as we consider how to write persuasively this week, I want to encourage you to remember that perhaps the most persuasive voice we can hear in this life is that of the Holy Ghost. I hope that you will be able to listen to that voice and allow it to enlighten you, persuade you towards righteousness, and comfort you. As you do these things, you will be blessed for your efforts and you will become better in every aspect, whether that is your ability to obey, your ability to be sensitive to the promptings of the Spirit, or even your ability to write a persuasive essay. I have full faith that our lives are bettered by the companionship of the Holy Ghost, and I hope that you'll be able to see that this week as well. Thank you for your time and all of your effort, and I hope you have a wonderful week.